Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you why the Super Bowl champ Eagles are finally taking my advice about social activism.
And I'm Colin Cowherd, and I'll tell you why last night, proof. I may have been writing that Russell Westbrook thing all along. Speak for yourself starts now. It's painful for you, Jace.
You have a reason to gloat. You have reason to gloat. I want to back you up today. All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by a couple of NBA champions, Eddie House and Dante Jones. Let's start in Salt Lake City. Where Russell Westbrook may have stopped Ricky Rubio from getting another triple-double, but the Jazz blew out the Thunder anyway, getting a huge game out of Donovan Mitchell and taking a 3-1 series lead. After the game, Westbrook wasn't exactly making any more guarantees.
Did you feel like your aggressiveness was appropriate to defend Rubio with in this game tonight?
What do you mean?
In the sense that you picked up 2 fouls pretty early in terms of the aggressiveness you were using on him, and
well, it's not about me or him. Let's get past that. We done with that.
Did you guys come into Game 4 trying to play with playoff physicality and kind of with that experience, or was that just kind of how the game played out?
Next question. Wrong person.
Cowherd, has this series irrevocably damaged Westbrook's reputation?
No, I think it's altered it. I think if you're a critical thinker, as a basketball fan, GM, owner, coach, player, he has one made field goal in the last 3 fourth quarters. One, as the MVP. We crushed LeBron over that. We'd crushed Durant. When you're the MVP, the microscope, the intensity, the focus kind of burrows in. He has struggled in the last 2 years in fourth quarters. Now, is he the NASCAR driver that's got pedal to the metal and wears himself out? Is it a coaching issue? But you cannot watch Westbrook in this series. One made basket in the last 3 games. By the way, it's not like Ricky Rubio is Tony Allen. It's not like this is one of the all-time, great backcourt defenses. You have to at least critically.
What are you doing? There's
What?
music playing and there's a grave. Dance on his grave. Why are you trying to back up now when you've been proven right? He has been damaged, and he's not recovering from this damage. He has taken a dump on his MVP trophy. He's taken a dump on the triple-double and his whole legacy. Again, Russell Westbrook, at this point, you were right, and I'm going to take it a step further. He is the Terrell Owens of basketball. Great individual talent, but he's quirky and kooky. He got caught up in Ricky Rubio.
Yes.
And got 4 fouls in the first half. It's one of the dumbest things that we've ever seen in playoff basketball. It's time for you to dance on his grave.
Well,
don't get soft now.
I'm not getting soft. I never bought into him. It's almost how I felt about Iverson. I was watching a unique transformational talent. I didn't think it was winning basketball. I didn't think winning players ever wanted to play.
Guy may be kicked out of this next game, Colin.
No.
This is some of the dumbest.
Yes.
From the Rubio thing to stepping on the court here during this altercation. This is your reigning MVP or your previous MVP doing dumb things in the playoffs.
Yes.
Dance on his grave. And if these guys try to stop you, I'm going to back you up.
Low-key, Steven Adams is on the court, too, if you look over there. So
the reigning MVP?
That's two can. No, he's not. But his reputation is not damaged. I don't think it's damaged. Okay, he's not in control of guys missing shots. They go 5 of 26 from 3, right? 5 of 26 from 3. He only took 3 of them. So all the other shots, that's on his teammates. He's a guy. Let me tell you this.
Said one
in the last 2
basket
years,
in the fourth
and
quarter,
Melo has 4 points in the fourth quarter.
Melo's a shot
But
fighter.
You need him. Listen,
You're
you talk
comparing him to
about,
Melo.
I'm not comparing him to Melo, but you need your teammates to make shots when you pass them the basketball. Now, they're 54 and 16 in the last 2 years, including the playoffs, when he gets a triple-double. You hate when he gets a triple-double.
I don't hate it. I just don't give it much value.
But if he's 54
devalued
and 16 when he gets a triple-double, his team needs him to get a triple-double. He needs to be as active as possible
But he's
and not be
not.
so passive and letting
By the
other
way,
guys get more
one
shots than him or
basket-
more attempts or control the game more than him.
If matter, okay, then go get one. He didn't take a shot in a fourth quarter 2 games ago. We would destroy other players for doing that.
Kobe did it before.
Not a shot?
End of the day,
Kobe did it before.
it's a
we crushed them.
one bad game in the playoffs, and they're a bad matchup for them. Period, point
Why?
blank. That team, OKC, is built to beat the champs. That's why they built them. personnel to beat is to go after Golden State. But Utah is a surprise because they're a great team on offense with movement and a great team on defense. Period, point blank. That's what it is. They're a bad matchup for OKC because they move the ball and there's no ISO basketball, and they can't guard that type of team. And Russ had one bad game, but his legacy is not damaged by no means. He just had a bad game in one of the hardest places to play in Utah. That is one of the hardest environments to have a great performance.
Michael Jordan didn't have a problem playing there. LeBron hasn't had a problem. LeBron is great in Boston. That's one of the hardest places to play.
But Michael didn't play that type of game. They're a young team right now. They're a young, energetic team for the city.
Talking about Utah.
Utah's a young, energetic team. Michael played the Karl Malone at the end of his career. I don't even give him that much credit.
Teams dominated veterans in the
But this is not a championship
coaching.
team.
Same thing that happened with Boston
now
last year.
coaching.
Don't you say
It is
Brad
always
Stevens is one of the great coaches, right? And they had, what was their team they had last year? A young team that was up and coming. They win. They get the number 1 seed in the East. A very good coach.
By the
Quinn
way,
Snyder
what happened-
coaching circles around Billy
Brad
Donovan.
Stevens was a great coach, but when he faced LeBron, they crushed him.
Well, I mean, that's
Okay,
LeBron, though.
Westbrook was
Bad coaching.
Dante, you're one of the smartest players to play in the league. And this man just did some of the dumbest things in basketball last night.
But players
it's
do some things.
indefensible.
It's not. No. I'm not defending. I'm just saying people make mistakes. He had one bad day at the office. It doesn't define.
He's had a bad playoff series.
You talking about the 4 fouls, right?
Yeah.
That's on coaching. Once he picks up his second foul,
be out of the
you
game.
like, okay, I can take you out the game, but I trust you maybe not to pick up the third. You pick up that third foul, there is no way
Eddie,
you're supposed to be in the game to pick up your fourth in the first half. There's no way.
He's
That's
the
going on
reigning
coaching.
MVP. He's 10 years into the league. This isn't a child. This is a grown-ass man
Everybody in there
who
is a
talks
grown man.
smack before the game. I'm going to shut down Ricky Rubio, and then shuts himself down and then jeopardizes himself for the next game. This is indefensible.
By the way,
this is damaging.
What really creates clarity is that you got Westbrook, this 10-year veteran, and then you have this rookie Donovan Mitchell. Here's Donovan Mitchell, who sounds like a 10-year veteran after the game. Listen to Donovan Mitchell.
I said this morning, we're not really worried about one individual comment. I think if we get caught up in that, it takes us out of our own game, and our play showed tonight. We were just focused on each other and making the right plays when we needed to.
He's the rookie. Westbrook's making guarantees.
He gave the PC comment.
Everybody's cut different.
However, but that's the way that they play. They play as a team and as a unit. That's their style of play.
Let me put him on the spot, Colin. Let me put it. Will he learn anything from this? Will we see a smarter Russell Westbrook moving forward?
I think so. I give him the benefit of the doubt because he's so talented and he's our reigning MVP. I think he can have a performance to right this wrong. I think he has the ability to.
No.
Not too many people. But you take one game at a time. You do not take the whole load.
It's like this here, man. You could reel in what he does, right? I'd much rather have a guy like Russ who's a little bit over the top and say, hey, man, come on, reel it in a little bit. We need to calm down. Then have a guy that we're looking like, I'm trying to light a fire on and have him get somewhere that he can't get to. So I believe he's able to reel it back. He will reel it back.
Him. No one wants to play with him moving forward. And he'll get some guys, but there's a new boss in town at Buffalo Wild Wings, and he deals in bacon. It's the Bacon Boss Burger, featuring bacon 3 different ways and a blanket of white cheese sauce. And he's joined by other new favorites like the smothered cheesesteak quesadilla, sweet chili shrimp, and Alaska cod classic. All pair perfectly with a Sam 76, a fruity ale with the crisp finish of a lager. Hurry in today and try them all before they're gone at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports, available for a limited time while supplies last. Please drink responsibly.
To a guy who might be enjoying Westbrook's fall from grace, Kevin Durant, his old teammate. Before last night's game, Durant liked to comment on Instagram that blamed Westbrook for KD's departure from OKC. But after the media noticed, Durant told reporters, it was just an accident. Whitlock, this is hardly KD's first social media accident. Do you think less of KD because of it?
Actually, I do. And the reason why, because he won't own it. He didn't like playing with Westbrook. He thinks Westbrook was the reason they didn't reach their potential. Just own it. Don't make excuses. Don't lie. Because again, when you deny Russell Westbrook the truth, and that's my problem with these two here, they want to deny Westbrook the truth. That's why he won't improve. Players cape up for this guy constantly. I was guilty of it. He needs to be hit smack in the mouth with the truth. You're the problem.
Well, here, I'll say this about KD. What KD is doing is, and how old's KD, 30? He's a young man. He's doing what 40-year-olds do, 50-year-olds, and 60-year-olds do when they get a divorce. They want to make sure everybody hears their side of the story. I mean, okay, like what KD is saying is, I told you he was a little crazy, and he liked something on Instagram. This is human nature. When you have a relationship, and by the way, it's like a Hollywood relationship. It's public. You know, the garbage man gets divorced, nobody in the world knows. You get a public divorce, KD Westbrook, KD's just making sure everybody knows. Did you guys watch that game last night? Did you see that? That's what I was playing with.
Kicking him while he's down. Like, KD was being a troll.
He was
being a troll. He was being an internet troll. Like that's what he was being at that point in time.
Makes you think less of KD?
No, he's showing you that he's just like everyone else, and he's not trying to be unnormal. He's not trying to. He likes Instagram. He likes the pettiness of things. He's absorbed
Millennial.
with. Yeah, right. He's absorbed with everything that's going on Instagram, and he just is a normal individual who does normal things. And he was enjoying kicking on Westbrook while he was down.
I don't think less of him. I just think he needs to stand on it. If you did it, just be like, you know what? Yeah, I did it. So what? It's time now. You know, it's time now. They had their riffs in games where they go back and forth with each other. If you want to troll him on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, just say, yeah, I did it. You know, he made the fake account the one time. Okay. You know what I mean? And then he has this and said, this is an accident. I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, man.
You guys played in the game. Do you believe last night KD's friends in the league were texting him? They're like, Westbrook, you were right. I bet you. Do you think KD last night? Because that was
So who was that? Melo and Paul George texting KD?
All I know is if I'm Kevin Durant, only guy happier than me last night was Kevin Durant. He was vindicated. It's like, this is what I was talking about.
They might have been on the same level.
It helps his stance of saying, you know what, this is why I came here.
Right.
Like he can stand on that. Right. And he can say, yeah, I wasn't wrong for making that.
KD is like you. He's afraid to dance on the grave. And again, now is the time, and that's why I'm getting KD, man up, man. If you want to be out here in this public figure and talking and be the man, own what you think and what you say. I think it would help Westbrook if people would quit lying to him. Billy Donovan, Mo Cheek sitting over there lying to him. The whole organization lying to him. Paul George, Carmelo. Russell Westbrook needs an intervention.
I totally agree. My whole point with him has always been, I've never bought into it. So, like, dancing on the grave would almost be bullying because I've been banging on Westbrook for 2 years because I think in clutch moments, I don't trust him.
You made a good point. I think it lies in he needs to be bumped down a position. I think he needs a guy to make decisions for his team. I think he needs a point guard. I think he needs to be pushed to the 2 like Donovan Mitchell is pushed to the 2 because Donovan Mitchell is not running the show. He has Ricky Rubio making decisions and making plays for him rather than him have to run a team. And I think if Russ pushed to the 2, I think he'd be in a better situation.
I feel you on that, but if Russ can't shoot the 3 like Donovan Mitchell, I don't think he's that dynamic of a scorer like a Donovan Mitchell. It would be good to have him at times take a break from the point guard position and let him run the wing so he's not always having the ball. Let some other guys get to touch it a little bit. But Jay Whitlock, you cold-blooded, man. He talking about dance, so he want people to dance on people's graves, though.
And I want to help him.
He said dance on their grave, though.
Tell him the damn truth.
Welcome back. Dante Jones returns, now joined by former Pro Bowler D'Angelo Hall. Let's move to Philadelphia, where the Super Bowl champion Eagles have officially been invited to the White House and say they are discussing logistics to make the visit happen. This after a handful of socially conscious players, including Malcolm Jenkins, said they would decline an invitation from President Trump. But as NFL Network's Ian Rappaport tweeted, quote, Eagles have not committed to a White House visit, but they're discussing it. Given Malcolm Jenkins' role in calling attention to social issues, this is an important discussion. The statement alludes to using the time to engage the White House rather than skipping it. Whitlock, you like Philly's approach here?
Love it, because this is how I think you should take these White House visits if you're going to make the stance that NFL players have had. go engage the person you disagree with. Go have dialogue with the person that you oppose. That's the way you create change. This whole thing of I'm going to totally avoid this person and not engage with them, it calcifies things, and the people that you're trying to bring into the middle or trying to bring into your side of the discussion, they get to ignore and dismiss you. And when you're working from a minority perspective, when you're only 12, 13% of the population, you need to move people to the middle or your side in order to win in the long term. That's what we moved away from. Martin Luther King engaged with a lot of bigots, all the way up to the White House and LBJ, who routinely used the N-word and wasn't the greatest friend of black people. But Martin Luther King's engagement moved him to a place where there were some bills passed that benefited all of us. So I love what the Eagles are doing.
Philadelphia is the one team. I mean, the politics didn't apparently work in Seattle, where they moved Michael Bennett, just gave him away, and he's still a great player. Philadelphia has always, to me, done it right. They're not divisive. They have opinions. They take stands. But they're not demonizing everybody. And I think that's the problem with politics. I mean, I can be liberal, you can be conservative, or vice versa. But if I can gauge civilly and we have opinions, and that's what Chris Long has done and Malcolm Jenkins. I don't think every team does politics well. I think it takes mature players. Malcolm Jenkins, Chris Long, smart, cerebral, mature. They're not trying to win an argument. They're seeking real progress in America. I think politics is always dicey in all workplaces. But you need the right person, the right catalyst. And I think Philadelphia's shown, and maybe this is why they're Super Bowl champs, they've shown a certain refinement, non-divisive, willing to engage, not demonizing. And once again, this is how they've done it since the very beginning.
I think it's all about perspective and dialogue. I think they're choosing to do it in the right capacity. Avoiding never solves a problem. I think when you get a chance to look that man in the face and speak and put a face with the claims that you put to people in my position, you get to see a real man. You get to see a real man who's speaking on real issues and try to help them understand where I'm coming from. I think we can only do that through conversation. And if we avoid people and we think the problem's gonna go away in that nation, as you said, it calluses the situation and it hardens hearts. I think the more that you can sit and look somebody in the eye and explain your grievance and explain where you're coming from, you can create change.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you all. I don't know if this is the right forum. I don't know how these White House celebrations go. I've never been a part of one. I think you guys went.
Well, we did. We even when our visit with President Obama, we had people on our team that asked real questions about social justice issues with criminal reform and guns in Chicago and the pipeline incident that we're dealing with. We had people that asked real questions and got real answers. And why are we not getting attention here? And we need to do this. And they sat down and listened. Everybody wasn't in agreement just because we loved Obama. We had reverence for him. But we asked questions, we got answers, and we found a way how we could help and all come together, and I think that's what it's about.
Okay, so knowing how this forum kind of takes place, then I absolutely think this is a great idea for the Philadelphia Eagles. Malcolm Jenkins, Chris Long, these are two guys, like you both said, very opinionated guys, and they've put their boots on the ground and they've done things. And that's the thing. We have a lot of people who always want to weigh in but have never done anything. You know, they never put their money where their mouth is. These are two guys who have definitely put their money where their mouth is. They're out there working in the communities and abroad, and they want to see real change. And I think if they can go to the White House and actually get some conversations with some key leaders and really start in that direction of trying to create real change, I think it'd be a great situation for those guys.
D'Angelo, one of the things that I think that's happening here is Philadelphia is negotiating the terms of the deal. And that's what I always thought was a possibility because Donald Trump is a hardcore sports fan. He's a bit of a groupie for athletes. And so he wants the Super Bowl champs to come to the White House. So now you can look, okay, well, you got to give us an hour.
Yeah.
We're away from the photo op. And Donald Trump being who he, hell, I'll give some football players an hour.
Yeah.
And so I've always liked, one, because I got to talk to Malcolm Jenkins for an hour when he visited here. I've always felt that Malcolm Jenkins has been real and authentic about what he's trying to do and has backed it up and has handled himself, again, as Colin, as you said, in a way where dialogue has always been a possibility rather than just demonizing the other side. And so I think this is healthy, and I hope they lay a blueprint for other champions. And again, because I would love for LeBron James and them to win a championship, and LeBron could negotiate how his visit or went with Donald Trump, and they can have some real dialogue, and you can get in the man's face and tell him what you really think. All right, welcome back. Eddie House is back. We're joined now by the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to Minnesota, where James Harden and the Rockets finally looked like themselves last night, hanging a 50-point third quarter on the T-Wolves en route to a blowout win and a 3-1 series lead. Harden finished with 36 points, including 22 in the third quarter, but was just as impressed with his team's play on the other end of the floor.
We hit the switch that we've been trying to hit, from the beginning of the playoffs, on both ends of the floor. It's pretty scary what we're capable of when defensively we're locked in like that, and offensively we got it rolling. So, great quarter for us to give us the lead, and now we go back to the crib and try to finish it off.
All right, Cowherd, have the Rockets been the most impressive team in the playoffs?
No. Golden State's missing Steph, and they're going to win their series in 5. I don't buy Houston. I think they're a math equation. And I always compare them to Chip Kelly's Oregon Ducks. They're built for the regular season. Analytics, shoot 43s regardless if they're going in. But eventually, I don't trust D'Antoni, who's a finesse coach. Harden quit last year in the playoffs, last game. CP3 has struggled sometimes to elevate in the postseason. I got to see it from them. This is a perfect matchup. Minnesota can't shoot threes. Minnesota is, they've played Minnesota, 10 times in the last 2 years? They've crushed them like 8 times.
When Jimmy Butler's in the lineup, they've been the third best team in the West. Again, they just put up 50 points in a quarter. This is the postseason. It's no longer the regular season. The question is, have the Rockets been the most impressive team in the playoffs? Golden State, they're doing what they're supposed to do. And, so is Houston. But I haven't seen this kind of dominant performance to me from Golden State. I thought you were going to say the Pelicans maybe. But I think clearly the Rockets have been the most impressive.
They hit their threes last night. They're really good when they do a math game. They shoot 45 threes, and when they get 19 to go in, they beat you.
They're not the most impressive team in the playoffs to me. That was the most impressive playoff game, quarter, I should say, that I've ever seen. So I'll give them that. 50 points in the quarter, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Who's been more impressive in the playoffs?
Well, you could say you hit on one, the Pelicans maybe, but also Utah's been extremely impressive.
Yes.
Philadelphia's been extremely impressive. They got 4 guys averaging 18 and 1 averaging 19. That's a really impressive, and the way they're doing it against a really physical team in Miami that is disciplined. They're going to run their stuff. They're going to run you off everything. So they're not the most impressive team.
I wouldn't say they're top 3. I'm with Eddie. This is a team, Cowherd, not top 3. Hold on. Cowherd talked about threes. Of 16 playoff teams, they're 14th in three-point shooting so far after 4 games. This is a team that has not looked good. First game against the Timberwolves, 1-possession game. Second game, they won in a blowout. That's fine. Third game, they got blown out. They lost by 15 on the road. And then they had a good half here. Let's not call this a game.
Quarter.
This was a good quarter. Let's boil it down to that. This is a number 1 seed, Whitlock.
It doesn't count.
But you said most impressive.
They're playing a Timberwolves team that got Jimmy Butler back, and they were the third best team in the West. They just put on, to me, the most impressive offensive display that we've seen in these playoffs. They were the best team in the regular season. I've seen nothing so far that says they're not the best team in the postseason. And again, I think, so what? They struggled and blew a game. They came back and rebounded with a very impressive performance. I agree with James Harden. They found the switch.
He said we've been flipping this switch since the start of the playoff. Oh, the lights just came. Oh, they just paid their bill, huh? The lights working now, huh?
Do you think anybody sees this and is nervous? Like, oh, geez, the Rockets.
When this series started,
I'm terrified.
When you talked about every series before they started, like Boston was, Boston's got a better coach, Milwaukee's got better players. That was that series. Philadelphia was, can the young Philadelphia beat veteran Miami? That was it. Can LeBron and nobody else beat a more balanced Pacers? This series was always, man, this is a bad matchup for Minnesota.
Extremely bad
They
matchup.
don't hit threes, and this is just one of these things. If you look at the times they've played, last night was classic Houston. Yeah. And then they had an 8-minute moment where you're just like, wow.
1 point
Three,
game
three,
at the half.
You know
three,
what that
three,
sounds
three.
like to me? The Golden State teams, when they first came up, they would kill you with one of those 8-minute spurts that you can't recover from. That's what I'm talking
Golden
about.
State put up 50 points against the Clippers, I believe, one time too, in a quarter. But this is the reason why I say the Rockets can give the not the Clippers, but the Warriors a run for their money, because they're the only team that can match them 3 for 3. So to me, that's going to be a very compelling series in the final series, because whoever's hot, I think that's who's going to win.
Let's not disrespect Utah, okay, Eddie? This is a team where Ariza's not shooting over 30% from three.
That's right.
PJ Tucker's under 30% in this series. These guys aren't hitting their shots. They're not that impressive.
They're not the guys that's taking the bulk of the shots. You just need them to hit a few here and there.
To Philadelphia, where the Sixers are looking to close out their first-round series against Miami tonight, and I think they will. They've really been impressive so far. Electric performances from young stars like Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, who says this team's about to make a major leap.
A lot of people say that we have a bright future, but I think our time is now. We have a pretty good chance. We have a special team, a lot of great guys. I don't think we need anybody else. So we just gotta work with what we have, and we have a special team, and I feel like we have a pretty good chance to go far.
All right, Whitlock, could the Sixers actually compete for the title this year?
Yes, because to me, what that says is, can they win 2 games in the finals? That's competing for a title. And do I think they could win 2 games in the finals? Yes. I think Embiid, if he plays every game in the final series, yes, I think they can win 2 games. I don't think they can win the title, but can they compete for a title this year? Yes. And I think part of his confidence comes from looking at what the Pacers are doing to Cleveland, and I think they're just now realizing, well, damn, we're going to be in the finals.
Well, here's what I would say. They're long, they defend, they're athletic, and they have a transformational point guard. In 2018, when you consider the Celtics' injuries, when you consider OKC's dysfunction, Steph Curry's injuries, can you line them up and go, they can compete? Yeah. But I don't think Philly's a special team yet. I think they have 2 special players. And I think in my lifetime, the NBA's been a baby step league. The difference is this year, Boston's had catastrophic injuries. There is catastrophic dysfunction in Oklahoma City, and Steph Curry's out. So what's happened, Jason, is the ceiling's been lowered. If Oklahoma City had worked, if Curry was healthy, if Kyrie Gore, the ceiling would be much higher. I don't think Philly has risen as much as the ceiling has dropped, and I think they are closer.
I'm not sure if they, they could compete for a title, and compete is they go out there and play the winner of the West, but they can't shoot threes like that. I don't think they're a knockdown three-point shooting team. They're a very solid three-point shooting team, but they can't ring it off like Houston. They can't ring it off like Golden State. They do have 4 guys averaging 18, 1 guy averaging 12, and Ben Simmons leading with 19. So it's balanced. They have a balanced team. Now, they're going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, whoever they're playing, they will compete for a championship. But will they win? I highly doubt them winning, but they can compete. Just like I go out and compete against Usain Bolt in the 100. But I ain't gonna win. I ain't gonna get no.
Win 2 games.
It'll be tough. Just the way that the team shoot, the way the game is now, they're gonna spread Joel Embiid, keep him away from the basket. You keep the rim protector away. Now you got guys that finish at the rim, guys that can knock down shots and make plays. It's gonna be tough for them.
The Heat are trying to do that against Embiid. He blocked 5 shots last game, even though he was 2 for 11.
The Heat?
He is a defensive changer. Yeah, listen, the 76ers are doing some things in this series I didn't think they could do. This escalated from, they can compete this year, win some games in the East, right? I think it was like 40, 45 games. And then it's like, okay, 16 straight wins, and now it's like, compete for a title? I mean, this has escalated very quickly. I actually agree with Whitlock. I think they can do it. I mean, 2 wins in the finals, that's doable.
I don't know.
Against a beat-up Warriors, a Rockets team
we have to be very careful, though. The bottom of the East, Miami's a really weak team. Remember,
their three-point shooting?
Miami would not be close to a playoff team in the West. So you got to be careful. This feels a little, the Eastern Conference feels a little like Mountain West football, MAC football. You go 10-1, then you play Georgia in a bowl game and get outscored by 30.
So you think they'd get swept in the finals?
Yeah, but
Gentlemen's sweep at
again,
the
I'll say this. I like him, and I love Ben Simmons. Next year, they won't be a favorite in the East. Once Kyrie and Hayward are back, Jaylen Brown's a second-year player, they won't be favored in the East. Listen, this is fun. It's wonderful. They're better than we all thought. But we got to take a deep breath here. Miami's really, really weak as a playoff team.
You're not sure they're coming out of the East based off these comments.
I think I want to see it. Welcome back. D'Angelo Hall returns. Jason McIntyre. We'll get to Baker in a minute, but let's start in Atlanta, where there may be some trouble brewing for the Falcons. Julio Jones, expected to join the team for offseason workouts yesterday, never showed up. Also happened to delete all of the Falcons' pictures from his Instagram account. Perhaps not coincidentally, Jones has been working out with Hall of Fame problem child T.O. this offseason. Whitlock, you worried T.O.'s been a bad influence on Julio Jones?
Let's put it on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm going to call it a 5. Yes, I'm worried a little bit. Julio Jones is probably one of my favorite non-quarterback player in the NFL. Love the dude. I don't like this, though. Why? Last year it was Antonio Brown was working out with Terrell Owens. Why is Julio Jones working out with Terrell Owens? I don't get it. And now all of a sudden he's not reporting to camp. He's changed his social media deal and removed all the Falcon stuff. He's got a decent excuse. He talked to the Alabama kids about not getting caught up in social media. I put a little credence in that, but again, I'm right in the middle on how concerned I am.
I'm not concerned at all, because I think T.O., and I don't think T.O.'s the worst human in the world. There was no drugs. He wasn't, T.O. just was a little bit of a diva, but whatever. Guys that have a negative background have influence over weak people. Julio Jones is gold star. If he's a hotel, he's Four Seasons. He's rock solid, work ethic. There's no way you're going to take a guy that's that dependable, that solid. He's Larry Fitzgerald.
Why is he not in camp?
By the way, if I was like 8 years in Hall of Famer, I don't think I'd go to camp. I'd say, fellas, I'm good. I'll see you in September against the Saints. I'm not going to blame a guy for skipping camp. I'm a veteran. I'm not.
Yeah. I was a proponent of, I would feel like I needed to go to camp if I was learning something new. There was a new defensive system or new players that I felt like I needed to try to build some kind of chemistry. I'm not worried about Julio not being around at all. I know he's a little bit disgruntled because he wants probably a little more money. I think that's why he, took down some of the pictures of the Falcons and things like that, because he is underpaid. He is the best receiver in the game. And so for some of these new guys to be getting, contracts and their value more than his, then, I could see it rubbing him the wrong way. But, yeah, T.O. is not, I don't think, sending Julio any mixed signals or any messages and saying, hey, delete this or don't do that. Julio is a very strong mental human being. He's definitely not being persuaded to do anything by T.O.
He's sending a smoke signal, though, by working out with Terrell Owens. Is he sending a message to the Falcons?
Maybe Terrell Owens was in town that week or something. I don't know. Again, I think it's a little overblown. I don't think there's any issues here. I do want to say there's a weird parallel between Julio Jones and what's happening with Kawhi Leonard. These are guys who are quiet on social media. Yeah. They don't talk to the media a lot. And they're, something happens online and it's all of a sudden, let's rush and hammer Kawhi Leonard, let's rush and hammer Julio Jones, and they don't defend themselves. So there's, they're not like the Odell Beckhams, right? The Antonio Browns who are very vocal. They're going to do Facebook Lives. I don't think there's anything here with Julio Jones.
Is some of it this? T.O., for all the misgivings you may have about him, is in remarkable shape.
Yeah.
And maybe Julio's like, dude,
I want the secret to
yeah, I think a lot of this is just T.O. that's a temple, man. Like that he looks better than 99% of the players in the league. And sometimes players are like, dude, he's got a workout system.
Yeah,
it's just better than current coaches.
Be around other great players. They want to learn. They want to see, hey, what can I steal from what T.O.'s been able to do over the years that that's earned him a gold jacket. I mean, T.O. was rushed out of this league, I think, a little prematurely. He still could have played football. You watch him run routes, he still looks like he can get open. And so if I'm Julio, I'm definitely trying to learn from a guy who has a similar body as me, similar games, and I'm trying to figure out, hey, how can I take my game to the next level? Because one thing T.O. didn't win, that was it's a championship.
What if I'm disgruntled with my contract and I also want to send a message like, I can be a bit of a problem. I'm going to skip OTAs. I'm going to remove the Falcons from my social media, and I'm going to work out with one of the more problem children in NFL history.
That feels like a Gronkowski move, not like a Larry Fitzgerald, Julio Jones move. Again, he's working out with a Hall of Famer. Like, I just don't
think
see
a lot of guys work out with a lot of guys.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Carter's working out with, he's a talk show host. He's working out with Odell Beckham last year. I think a lot of guys work out with a lot of guys.
Maybe you should work out with me. All right, to Cleveland, where speculation over who the Browns will take first overall in Thursday's draft just took an unexpected twist, with Adam Schefter reporting that the team is definitely considering using the pick on Baker Mayfield, who addressed one of his biggest critics in his docuseries Behind Baker.
Who's the recent guy? Oh, Colin Cowherd. Undraftable. You hear that? This guy said I was undraftable because there's a video of me running from the cops.
All right, Cowherd. Think the Browns should avoid Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, I don't like the police video. If you were trying to be a high school principal and that video was out, it would eliminate you from the job. I don't like this. I don't want my quarterbacks running from cops. I think that's ridiculous. I think if you were trying to be a columnist at a newspaper and the publisher or the editor saw that during the hiring process, you'd be eliminated from the job. Baker Mayfield potentially is going to run a $2 billion franchise. I don't know why me saying I don't like that is outrageous.
He's a kid in college. And again, look, there would be video of me running from the cops in college.
And I wouldn't let you run my franchise either.
Yeah.
I like you. I'm not letting you run I know you.
And you probably got better speed than Baker Mayfield.
Heck, I had some fun in college. I never ran from the police in college. I never was put in that situation.
What did you think when you saw that?
And so, yes, I only recently saw this video, maybe seconds before it actually aired on TV. And so I was appalled. This is a guy who I presumably stood on the table for and said, hey, I like him. It's something about him I like. I do not like that, though, at all. You can't be the face of an NFL franchise, not the quarterback position, and be put under this scrutiny. And just the way he was answering those questions. Yeah, some guy I don't even know, said he didn't like me. Come on, man. You're a quarterback. You're telling me you're going to sit up there in front of a room and tell me you've never heard of Colin or you've never heard of this show? It's rubbing me the wrong way already just talking about it. And so I can't wait to see this kid on the next level, because a lot of people get caught up in thinking they're better than they are. RG3, when he first jumped on the scene,
that's right.
He was a great player. And it was just certain things he did throughout practices and, through mini camps and OTAs that you were kind of like, man, this joker is cocky and arrogant. And it rubbed guys the wrong way. Right. And it just put a bigger target on your back than you already had.
Okay, so that police video is a little bit old. What about this recent interview with the Chargers? He was going to go interview with the Chargers.
Yeah,
he's like, I didn't really read the playbook. I think I'm going to go higher in the draft. I mean, there's so many red flags around this guy. I'm telling you, this will be a disaster. If he goes to the New York Jets, do you know how many sleepless nights the GM and the owner are going to have of Baker Mayfield running around New York City?
Yeah,
this dude is bad.
You're not bothered by this.
Not really.
Okay, so what would bother you?
What would bother me?
I mean,
here's what bothers
do you even
me
know
about
why he was running?
Yeah, it was.
No?
I'm not sure.
Okay, all right.
I used to know, but I don't know in this moment.
All right.
What would bother me if I were the Browns is, hey, man, I already had Johnny Manziel blow up in my face. And so why do I go back down that road? That's what would bother me. But again, if I'm some other team without that history or baggage, look, I wouldn't draft Baker Mayfield because I think he's too small. I don't like short quarterbacks. So there's other things I would ding Baker Mayfield for, but being drunk on a college campus and seeing 3 cops and taking a few steps to run away.
A few steps.
And I'm just going to have to keep it real, man. They could have had video of me at Ball State running from a frat house or a fight somewhere. You know.
Okay, Whitlock, but let me raise the stakes for you. The Chicago Bears saw Baker Mayfield at the Combine. They said, hey, Baker, we want to talk to you. He says, why do you want to talk to me? You guys just drafted Trubisky. I mean, that's the attitude this dude's coming in with. I know everything. I got all the answers. I'm telling you, the Jets, the Browns, this guy is not draftable.
Would you at least acknowledge this, that Baker's going to need the right environment?
Oh, my God.
Oh, he absolutely will.
Yeah, he's not one of these guys that, like, walks in like Andrew Luck, and you're like, he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
He's got the Jets in Cleveland. Isn't it reasonable to think that's not the right environment?
Dysfunctional franchises.
Yeah.
Why don't y'all think this is a smokescreen? Again, there's always rumors leading up to the draft, and we're going to take Baker Mayfield, blah, blah, blah. That might be trying to create trade leverage because there is some team out there that's really interested in Baker Mayfield. But to me, for the Cleveland Browns, it makes no sense. You had the Manziel disaster. Why go back? You know, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting different results.
There's too many. Listen, you can say that he's not Manziel, but there are a couple similarities, right?
Yeah.
If I said, who does Johnny Manziel remind you of in this draft?
Yeah.
You'd say Baker.
Right.
You can't get burned on this twice. You just can't.
No, I wouldn't. All right, welcome back. Time for last call. Let's move to New England, where despite rumors that Tom Brady might be on the verge of retirement, Brady's agent, Don Yee, says the quarterback is planning to play this season. Cowherd, do you think Brady's just been trolling Belichick with these rumors?
I do. I think Tom has suppressed his opinion for 18 years. He's been the good soldier. He's taken the pay cuts. He's taken the hits. He's been on point. He's saying, Bill, you're not going to give me an explanation. I'm going to make your life a little uncomfortable. And he has.
Yeah, I actually think it's the right thing to do in terms, I don't think it comes from a super negative place as much as like, well, somebody's got to stand up to Belichick. You got an entire locker room baffled by the Malcolm Butler decision. Someone's got to push back and stand
Gronk's
up.
doing it too.
Yeah, so I don't blame him. Good job, Tom Brady. All right, to Boston, where the Bucks and the Celtics resume their heated series tonight. The teams are knotted at 2-2. After the Greek Freak handed Milwaukee a thrilling Game 4. Cowherd, you think the Celtics regain control of this series tonight?
I do. I think this is a matchup between superior talent and superior coaching. I will tell you, though, there's an opportunity here. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have had to carry a bigger load. And I got to be honest, Jason, they've blown me away. I don't think I've seen a player in 2 years improve more than Jaylen Brown. He could not shoot coming into this league. He couldn't shoot at Cal. And listen, they're not going to win a championship, but Tatum has been asked and Jaylen Brown, okay, no Kyrie, you guys got to score 20. And they have blown me away.
I'm on the other side of this. I'm impressed with Jabari Parker. I think he's starting to show some of the potential that made him, when he was coming out of Duke, a big deal. I think he's in great shape. He's playing well on the defensive end. I think Milwaukee's going to win this series.
You do?
Yes. Yeah, and I think Jabari Parker's the X factor. I know you were interested in this. Meek Mill's getting out of jail on bail. I know.
Congratulations.
You can sleep tonight. You can sleep. I know you've been praying.
To Meek.